All right, well, before I get started talking about our planned customer program for the low usage, low income customers who will be impacted by this rate restructure, I just wanted to take a moment to share some perspective on our energy assistance program that we've had and energy assistance in general over the historically and also relative to some of the comments that Mr. Burke and Mr. Easterlin have shared about where the future of the industry is going. So OPPD has long helped our disadvantaged customers and neighbors with their energy-related expenses through our energy assistance program. This raises funds from our other customers and public to help customers pay their electric bills. Over the years, we've also participated with a variety of agencies and neighborhood associations to help our customers better manage their energy usage costs through energy efficiency and weatherization. OPPD recently launched our Smart Steps programs to do just that. Historically, back when OPPD first implemented our energy assistance program for customers in 1988, electricity, natural gas, water, and telephone were the essential services that we were trying to help assist customers with. As we have seen in customer service, the financial implications and burdens on our low-income customers are increasing as more services are becoming essential in this world that's highly driven by technology. And some of those services would include the internet and smartphones. It's difficult for customers today to live without those, and they're becoming more and more an essential service in our world. But that's also an increased burden on the low-income customers that we have to be able to use those technologies. Additionally, increasing regulations for producing, securing, and automating the reliable delivery of these essential services has increased, and that cost gets passed on to the consumers, and it's further challenging the limited financial resources, again, of our low-income customers and the agencies that are serving them. In order to meet these future resource challenges, our community needs to rethink our approach to energy assistance for the long term. So OPPD has been a leader in this area. Judy Martin, who's here with us, has been instrumental in the community and trying to bring together agencies with the utilities to provide a means to provide energy assistance in a more reliable and efficient manner for our customers. Several years ago, we had a team put together from the community. We did a lean process review that was a collaborative effort with our own lean operations group, and other businesses in the area provided their lean teams to go through a Kaizen event, review the processes, the customer effort, the effort on the agencies to deliver these assistance resources to our customers. The goal of that community collaboration is to maximize those resources available to those in need by ensuring that our processes deliver stability for the households that are impacted, not just by utility, but other costs that they're facing to maintain their household. One of the results of this process was the development of the Common Fund. Through the rate restructuring stakeholder process, we have heard concerns about this energy assistance process from the community. And as OPPD's representative on the board, Judy has brought those concerns to the Common Fund board. They recently had engaged an evaluation of the processes and to understand what the gaps were. Some of you may recall that the Common Fund was put together really as a pilot on how we could do this approach. And so part of that was to come back, relook at the processes again, and take the opportunity to improve the gaps of the program. This will be an ongoing process with that program, with the utilities, the agencies, and our stakeholders to meet those long-term needs. As OPPD's team has evaluated the energy assistance needs, considering the business transformation that Mr. Burke spoke of earlier, we anticipate a long-term increasing need for energy assistance. This is due to the changing nature of the energy industry, as well as other societal, environmental, and economic factors. Today, our energy assistance funds are typically used to assist with the monthly energy bill, and very rarely, though occasionally, we will have to help customers to get their electric service up to code to eliminate a safety hazard on their end so that they can continue to have electricity. Considering the business transformation that's been spoken of, the technology and regulatory changes to our electrical system and the generation plants will likely continue to increase the cost, meaning yet higher rates for our customers, not to mention some of the regulations that may require costly upgrades on the customer's side within their home as building codes increase for energy efficiency measures, for HVAC system requirements. They're going to have increasing costs on their end as well. And so energy assistance is going to have to become a broader program than what it is and has been historically. So with that, we see additional need for the funds. We need to minimize that need by continuing to educate our customers on energy efficiency, doing outreach to different groups to help them get involved in that process. And finally, we need to be able to do more data collection and evaluation and analysis of the participation in those programs to understand how effective they have been so that we can continue to improve them and offer program enhancements. While these are the focus areas for the next 3 to 5 years, we have an immediate need to help mitigate the impact of the rate restructure on our low usage, low income customers. This program that we have developed, as we evaluated the impacts of the proposed restructuring, which will benefit high usage, low income customers and hopefully put some relief on our energy assistance funds that are available, it became very apparent that there may be an increase in energy assistance requests from our low-income customers who are also low usage. Realizing this potential for an increased need for energy assistance, the team began to consider how we could expand upon our existing programs mentioned earlier, as well as if there was an opportunity to develop a transitional program. This is a customer program that's focused on assisting those customers that are in the low usage, low income program. It is a transitional program, and it is contingent upon the implementation or the approval of Board Resolution 6094. It is a customer program that management under the board governance has the authority to implement through our customer programs. With this program, the direct funding will come through the district's normal operating expenses to provide a credit on our customers' bills for those customer accounts that are qualified. The low usage, low income program would be available June 1st to May 31st of 2020. So June 1st of 2016, when the rate restructuring is proposed to be implemented, until May 31st of 2020. Again, since this program is focused on those customers with low usage, we took a look at where the impact to our customers falls. And so with that, we developed the requirement that customers, we would evaluate usage in a given month to determine if that usage fell below the 600 kilowatt hour level. And the customer would have to be income qualified through the state's low-income home energy assistance program. Once the customer is qualified through that process, they'd be eligible for their account to be evaluated for this credit for 12 bill cycles. As part of the LIHEAP process, customers are required to reapply for that annually.
I have a question about LIHEAP.
Sure.
Does the state have a limit of how many people can apply to be qualified? I know that we're not going to get funds from LIHEAP, but like there's such a large amount. Is there a certain amount that the state says no, we're not taking any more applications, or do they take all applications?
I'm not sure that they have a limit, but Judy Martin has. Do you know if they have a limit?
One of the questions that people, I have been reading these, by the way.
Okay, the LIHEAP dollars that the state receives are federal dollars, and there is appropriation is passed in Congress on a federal level. So yes, there is a limit that any of the states receive. However, they have plans in place should they have an extra high amount of people that apply, and they have various programs that they have funding for. There's the heating payment, there's a cooling payment, there's crisis payments. They provide some of their funds to for their administration fees and also to the weatherization program. So they have plans in place should they have more than requests than what they have funds for.
They will not turn away anyone who applies for LIHEAP if they qualify. Is that correct?
Well, they have budget limitations, yes, but they have a plan to manage within their budget programs should they have more apply for the heating payment. Some may apply for their cooling payment and not be eligible, okay? Some may apply for crisis payments and not be eligible. So they have different pots within their whole pot of funds. But all of the LIHEAP programs do have limitations from the federal government.
The question, though, I think, is whether there's a limitation on the number of customers that can apply for, or the number of people. The number wouldn't change, it's just the amount of funds that then would be spread across a larger pool potentially could get affected.
But we're not taking any of those funds away from LIHEAP. This is our own separate
These are
OPPD fund.
our funds, right. And back in the economic crisis years,
And they might not get any funds from the feds, but we will provide them funds.
right. And when they needed to use up some additional funds that came in during those years of 2008 to 2012, they increased some of the payments amounts. And so if they did have some, they have the ability to lower those payments too. So they have ability to make flexible. But no, there's no limitation on the numbers. It's just on the dollars.
We're just using the LIHEAP as a qualifier.
Right.
Right, too.
So, and then we're putting our own general funds money into this
Right.
thing, up to 1 to 2 million.
Right.
Okay, because that's kind of important, because what was the agency, it was through the HHS, remember about 2 years ago, they were sending direct checks out to people on energy assistance, and they weren't being used for energy assistance at all. Has that been cleared up?
I believe the state auditor looked into that, and I think they have changed that. That was on some contingency payments,
That
yes.
wasn't this LIHEAP program?
It was the LIHEAP program, but it was a source of funds within that area called the contingency payments. I do not believe that last year or this year that they've allowed contingency payments.
Well, I have questions with this part of it, but I
But this is
guess
good
it's
for LIHEAP
important,
now. I think it's important to talk about
this is, I guess that's good, and I appreciate you doing it.
Thank
It's
you,
not state
Judy.
funds, but it's still our funds that
It's
we're
still
putting
our
into
funds.
these.
Right.
Now the LIHEAP payments come to the utilities that the customers have identified as their primary heating source. And so it comes to the utilities and then we apply them to the account. And that's typically the process that works today. As was mentioned, there was a piece of that went directly to the customers, and obviously we were involved along with the state auditor on auditing that information. Our findings was given to the state auditor, and then they made some determination about not having payments go directly to the customers, but go to the utilities or the crisis area in which it was necessary to go.
One more thing about the LIHEAP. We do presently have customers, low-income customers on LIHEAP, is that correct?
Correct, we do.
And what is the percentage of that, of our low-income that are on LIHEAP, do you think?
The percentage of our low income, well, based on demographic data that we had purchased, we evaluated and determined that about 45,000 households, we believe in our service territory, are at 130% of the federal poverty level from an income perspective. So when we look at the information that we have within our system, I think we've had maybe somewhere in the area of 6,000 of our customers that have gotten LIHEAP, but Judy was able to get some additional information from the state, and there's about 10,000 customers that they are households within our service territory that receive LIHEAP funds. Now, those funds could be going to MUD, but not to OPPD. So the customer could already be in the system as LIHEAP qualified, but OPPD may not be receiving any funds for it. And so really what's gonna happen is they've already applied for LIHEAP. We're gonna get from the state who's LIHEAP qualified. That's what we're using for our qualification. And then they would get a credit, which is a credit from our funds, not from the state or I guess the federal LIHEAP dollars that come to the state to administer.
So we have 10,000 people right now who are already qualified that will be getting these funds.
If they, that could, if they have the usage. So the usage is the first,
The usage is low enough. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this is emphasized, but I want to emphasize it once again. While we opted to rely upon the LIHEAP administrative process in order to minimize the customer's effort of having to apply yet again for another form of aid or assistance, the money is coming out of OPPD's operating expenses. And using this already established process also helps OPPD on the administrative side of the program. We don't have a process in place to evaluate income levels, household expense levels, and all that. That's all structured into the LIHEAP process. As we did evaluate this program, we consulted with the city's Clean Solutions for Omaha and MUD regarding their use of LIHEAP for qualification of assistance towards the CSO or the sewer infrastructure charges that customers are seeing on their MUD bills. And they found it to be an effective means for administering the process and helping the customers to get the assistance that they need. The other day, we talked about where can customers go to apply for the LIHEAP, and certainly the state's website, their call center, they have 4 walk-in offices in the metro area, I believe. But in addition to that, there's about 30 or just over 30 social service agencies within our service territory who help our customers apply for the LIHEAP funds. And so that would also be an avenue for our customers to go through to get the LIHEAP application submitted. We're planning to provide a link to the state's website as well as the list of addresses and service agencies where they can go to begin the process for LIHEAP qualifications. So the next slide represents the chart of what the proposed service charge is under the rate restructuring resolution, and by year what that looks like. So Edward went over that process, but on the far right I want to point out what our team has come up with for the low usage, low income credit that would be available under this program should that resolution pass. So in June of 2016, when the new service charge is proposed to go into effect, the fixed portion would go up about $5. The credit on the customer's bill would be $2.50. In 2017, it would be an incremental increase that year on the fixed portion of $5. So that'd be $10 overall. Again, they're going to get a credit that's going up to $5. So we've graduated this up based on where the service charge is going. So there'll be 2 years where they get the $7.50 credit, and then in 2020, as the final year of this program, it's going to be transitioned out. They'll get a credit of $5 through May 31st of 2020. To give you an idea of some examples of how both the rate restructure and this customer program for the low usage, low income would work, we took some actual low income customers that we have. We used their 2014 usage data, and we applied what the rates are anticipated to be for 2019 under the rate restructure. And so we did it in terms of the size and type of the residents. And while this has some impact on customers' usage, certainly usage is also greatly impacted by the number of people in the household, the lifestyle, and that type of thing. So our focus here is really just to give you an idea of different types of residents and the types of usage they would have and the overall impact. So for an apartment at 4,001 kilowatt hours of usage in 2014, applying that 2019 rate, we would see an estimated annual impact of that rate restructure of $142 for that customer. Now, when we look at how many months they'd be eligible, this customer used less than 600 kilowatt hours in every month. So they are going to receive 12 credits. In that year, they would be receiving the $7.50, so that's $90. And that is then providing 64% of that estimated annual impact of the rate restructure for that customer. Now, we estimate, based on the data that we have, that 18% of our low-income customers would be eligible to get a credit every month based on usage. Again, low usage, low, and LIHEAP qualified.
Excuse me, that's how much? 18%?
18%. Now, stepping through the small house, their average or their annual kilowatt hour usage in this example was about 6,700 kilowatt hours. The average monthly usage was just under $600 kilowatt hours at 556. The estimated annual impact of the rate restructure on this customer is $81. And so while they're using more kilowatt hours than the prior customer, what you see here is the impact of having lowered the variable cost, that cost per kilowatt hour on the customer's bill. So a portion of the fixed cost on the bill is being offset by a reduction in the variable charge on the bill. So in this scenario, the customer did go over 600 kilowatt hours in 4 of the months. So they would only get a credit 8 out of the 12 months. We estimate that the average low-income customer would receive a credit 6 out of the 12 months. The next example is the average household, or an average sized house that we found, and their usage was 13,128 kilowatt hours for the whole year, and you can see their average monthly kilowatt hour usage is at right around 1,100 kilowatt hours. So the estimated annual impact on these customers, even though that fixed portion of the bill has went up, their bill has come down $73. And while, we hope, this is the example where we hope that eases some need for energy assistance for this particular customer, we do understand that those energy assistance dollars may be needed to help the folks that are in the apartment, small house, that have a larger impact from the rate restructure.
That's $73 a year. Those are all years.
Those are all annual
Those are all annual
dollars. Now, at its peak in 2018 and 2019, at the $7.50 a month credit, we estimate the program would likely cost us just over $1 million per year. And that amount is going to depend on participation and customers' usage levels. The maximum amount that we project is near $2 million. Our next steps are to finalize and prepare for the low usage, low income program, again, dependent on the resolution being adopted. We will work to begin to program the system and work with our agencies in order to understand what the impact would be with them, how we can use outreach processes with them to target the groups that they work. Many of the agencies are targeting particular groups of our population. And so we would use that to help direct our marketing of access to this credit program. We also would be monitoring in the process the effectiveness of the education and the conservation on customers' ability to pay the bill, and that's really through our Smart Steps program that we've already rolled out. We would advocate for funding opportunities for energy assistance plan or program, and some of those are also underway through the Heartland Walk for Warmth that's coming up and heat the streets in March. So look for information coming out about that. The other thing we're going to be watching closely is the Clean Power Plan to understand if there are incentives that are focused on low-income customers that will help them reduce their usage levels through more energy efficiency measures, and therefore be able to help them and provide them some assistance to do those measures. So finally, we want to, as we're working through our next steps, what we would plan to do is come back and provide the board with an update in May on the progress of these efforts, provides an update on the progress of the Common Fund and the efforts that they're undertaking to close in on the gaps that many of our customers have shared in the stakeholder process that have been a challenge for the local